All right. What's going on, good people? Welcome to this Tuesday, November the 1st on the Mo Diversity YouTube channel. This is What's the Tea? And you already know we about to spill the tea, brew some tea, drink some tea about our favorite current whatever TV show, music video, movie, all that good jazz. What's going on, sis? How are
Um,
you?
I'm good, bro. Just chilling, ready to sink my teeth into the show, if you know what I mean.
On
Wanna-
sink my teeth. You can see, as you can see from my profile picture, my teeth are ready to be sank. Like, cause girl, we are now stepping into the immortal universe that AMC is graciously blessed us with, and it's just no shade. Like, I ain't even trying to I ain't even trying to hype them up, but I'ma hype them up a little bit. But AMC, if you
in their
really
bag.
see
They in their
in the
bag.
bag, it don't make no sense already, and we haven't even really crossed the threshold of crossovers and other characters and other things that are in this universe. I mean, if you don't know, we are going to be talking about Interview with a Vampire that has been greenlit as a series that is now what we are 7 episodes in. Yes, we are late, but we are focused on House of the Dragons. But we said we was gonna treat this as a how can I say this? A smorgasbord of conversation. Because girl, boy, child, when I say this has blessed us, and I think everybody, and I can see from fans that have been tweeting about it, this has truly blessed us as people who enjoy supernatural, supernatural drama, supernatural horror, supernatural series. Because even with Avia, you were literally just watching Vampire Diaries over and
Yes,
the originals. So, and
yes.
I've watched that too, and my comfort is originals. Another one of my comfort shows is the originals as well. So to actually have some fresh vampire content right now, and
Hmm.
this time with technology and how film and storytelling has been, girl, it's a lot, and I'm loving it. Like, ooh.
Period. Because one thing that this show did, it brought that mythos back
Mm,
to the
mm,
vampire. Like it pretty like what the originals and what this show in particular did, it made vampires cool again. Because the Twilight Saga completely destroyed it. And just seeing the mythos, like them sleeping in coffins, them actually, being burned when the sun is out,
mm, mm.
just the over no, not over explanation, but just like the depth that they go to about what being a vampire really is, like the
Right.
hunger, your senses being heightened. Like it's just everything about it is very detailed, and the myth, like just the mythos is expanded, and it makes it more interesting.
It really does, and I think what I really like about it is that yes, this is Anne Rice's book, and the fact that I think the last time we saw these two characters or all three of these characters, it was in the movie of Tom Cruise, and how that was portrayed, and as that, and I'm not taking away from the movie because I actually just recently watched the movie. And even when I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, this is camp. This is given for for an audience in that time period. And what I like about what the writers are doing now is that they really twisted a fate with these characters. Like they really
Mhm.
shook the table a little bit. And I was like, oh,
They did, because
I
first
was
of
like,
all, they made Louis Dupont Duloc a man of color, a Creole man of
okay,
color, and
period.
Claudia as well. And it's like, when we first see Louis, he's the street hustler. Like he's pretty much a pimp.
Mhm.
And like when I say the switch up of him having that street swagger when we first meet him, I mean, he has this eloquentness when he's, an older vampire, when the guy is going to, interview him in his condo, and then just the switch up of him being a New Orleans street hustler, like in the
Right.
early 90s, like just a switch up. I'm like, "Ah," that just shows Jordan's acting prowess. Like this shows his acting ability, like switching up from 0 to 100 real quick. And like that's what it's about, because like you can tell that he's elevated since he became a vampire, and it's like, okay, there this is interesting here.
Like very interesting. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but these two characters have a whole life together in this whole Vampire Chronicles. This follows an epic love story of blood and immortality. And there's this journalist named Daniel who wants to know more about Louis. So
Hmm.
it opens up the season with him, returning back, which is this is crazy because this is the second time he's tried to interview him. And it's a calm state because our main character Louis has now been through a lot of things and now is in a space and mind that he's mature in his vampire age and is willing and able to actually tell his story as a vampire. So, that whole mythos of actually interview with a vampire as the whole concept of this whole storyline just, it just shook me up a little bit, and I loved it. How did you feel about this whole opening going into this whole series?
Oh, I loved it because it kind of flipped the one, in the movie, the interviewer is very young because it's
Yes.
played by Christian Slater, so the interviewer is very young, like he's like in his 30s. But in this one, we see that he's in his 60s or 70s, and it's like, oh, they like this whole approach that they took was
Yeah.
just clever. Like it was well done. I'm like, okay, I like this.
Right.
I like
It
this,
it, it was really good.
and I feel like, and the fact that Louis was like, pretty much talking about now our interview that we did before. How did you feel it was? And pretty much the interviewer was pretty much shitting on himself. Like it was this, it was this. Like I could have done better. It's like, all right, we're gonna do better now. And it's just their tint. Like it's like there's mutual respect between the two, because they're both trying to, Louis trying to tell his story, and then the interviewer is trying to, get the story, and it's just them, the tension between them trying to, really divulge what needs to be divulged, but at the same time holding back, and that tension is very interesting to watch.
Right. It really is because you can tell Daniel is very you can tell he has walls up and very like weary of actually, doing this. And then he does say you're not going to try to attack me once I ask you a situation or ask you a question or anything like that. So you can tell that there has been some looming minor tension between whatever relationship they had at first. But as Louis has stated that I am in a better place, basically. Let's just go ahead and get this going. And you know where you need to be on that line, and I know where I need to be on this, in this space. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And the fact that he actually tells him, his whole life story, basically, the first three episodes was just us on a journey of what Louis was doing before he was turned into a vampire and how he was this family man, this brother, this son, and to see all of that not only be taken away from him, but to be slowly stripped from him. You get to see you in those first three episodes, you really get to see Louis' character development really take a turning point for him to actually I don't want to say struggle because he didn't even struggle just that at the end of the first three episodes. He really just had to come to terms to what was happening around him. Um, if you haven't seen the first two, three episodes, this is how we're gonna do. We're gonna go three by three of conversation. The biggest thing I will say that I saw with these first three episodes was him losing his brother
Mhm.
and the way that you see the introduction of his brother and everything like that. You can tell that he cares for. You can tell care that Louis cares for his brother. his brother cares for him. They have this unspoken relationship that they protect each other. Cause I don't know if he I think the brother, I don't want to say he was autistic, but I felt like, there was this looming condition that you could see, and that what made Louis wanted to be more protective of him. And that also made his brother be more protective of Louis. So you see them have this type of relationship where it's like, I really hope nothing happens to them because they have a very tight bond. Um, and at the night of their sister's wedding, he ends up, you know, jumping off the roof of their house and killing himself. And I was so mad about that because it's a whole lot of outside factors, Lestat, that I
Mhm.
thought had played a part in that because of just, situations leading up to that. But no, I was so mad that they did that in the first episode because I was like, golly, really? Hot
Yeah,
mess.
yeah, because as soon as Lestat sees Louis, he has this thing like "you're mine and only mine." And I'm like, that's very selfish. That's very toxic. And like Louis gets drawn in, like that you know he he can't really help it. When Lestat turns him into a vampire, it gets even worse, and
Right.
it's like, dang, like, and this is something Louis really couldn't help. And it's like, ah.
It just really sucks because, like, I mean, even with Lestat being just Louis' friend and everything, even his mom was like, "You got this white devil in my house. You got this white man in my house." Like, even his sister was like, "You just changing. Like, you just doing different things with this white man." And the fact that, Lestat has this. At first, I'm gonna just be honest. It felt like it was an infatuation
Mhm,
with Louis. It was
mhm,
like he was very infatuated with how Louis act, how Louis portrayed himself, how Louis looked, how Louis would just, speak. Like, it was just, I felt like he was infatuated with Louis at first, and it was just like, I get it, but um, but when he actually ends up turning him and everything, it's just like there is a deeper connection between the two characters, Lestat and Louis. It feels like Lestat is giving Louis more condition and love than what he's received.
mhm,
And it makes Louis more attracted and more open to what is happening that actually blocks everything that is happening with his family.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, cause like you can tell, like as soon as Louis becomes a vampire, like he pretty much, like he still goes, to his mom's and sister's houses, just to try and, you know, has still have that human side of him, because you could tell Louis really does care for his sister, because when he goes over there, to see his niece and nephew, like she, like, even though the blood like is getting to him, like he stops so that he won't hurt them because he
Right.
cares about them.
Child. It was the urge of not sinking his teeth, like,
Right.
like, cause he's a baby vampire, baby, 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 baby. In them first two episodes, he's like literally a newborn vampire. So he has to control his urges. He has to control when he's actually around his family. And then when he turns, he can't really go see his family like that because these type of vampires, keyword mythos, we go back to where if they step into sunlight, they are harmed. So we get that he has to actually shut himself away and only can go see them at night, but he only went and see them every 6 months, and that was pissing me off because I was like, y'all in the same town. You could have
Mhm.
literally went and saw them every day, but I digress. I know what
Right.
y'all was doing, writers. I get it. 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 Um, but yeah, it's really crazy in them first three episodes to see his journey with him and his family, and I I don't I don't dislike his sister, but I do feel like she could have been a little bit understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I always feel like, and there's just no shade, even with when you go deeper into the later episode, I'm gonna try to put a pin on that point. But I think she always knew he was different. And yes, I am talking about his sexuality. Yes, I am talking about how he act and how he portrayed himself. And especially after they both lost their brother, he did lose his brother and see his brother actually walk off this roof. That's a different total experience from you, especially if, I mean, I get it, it's your wedding, but he was literally up there and they were having a full blown conversation. And I felt like, no shade, him and his mom, I mean, her and her mom had already shunned him just because he
Mhm.
was with Lestat all the time. Which I
Mhm.
get it, but it's like, girl, like, come on, you put him in a place where he didn't feel love. So if he's gonna get love from somewhere else, you can't be mad.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And just uh who we cuz the next I got something to say. I got something to say about the next
Because
few
I please,
episodes.
because I mean, I will say the way those three, I think the biggest thing that happened, I would say the biggest three things for me in the first three episodes was him losing his brother, his family basically shunning him being turned, because the way he was turned was very magical. He
Mm,
was they had this moment where they levitated as he was being turned and everything like that, and to see him in this whole new lifestyle and everything, it was very interesting and cool to see. Mind you, he is still giving his interview to Daniel. They do have, and we can actually pin on what him and Daniel's relationship for our next part after the season finale, because I feel like their connection in the first three episodes is there, but I don't feel like we get a deeper connection with them into the second half of the season.
mm,
But I will say the biggest thing after that last third episode is Lestat, not Lestat, Louis having this moment of heroism where he's listening and hears this this girl, and she's like, I don't want to die, please don't let me die, and he ends up saving her, and that is our third character, Claudia. Claudia is turned into a vampire that night because Louis begs Lestat to turn her. Honestly, and it's crazy, Lestat didn't want to turn her ass because
he
I
didn't.
think
He did
I
not.
think and it makes so much sense now after this season.
Now,
It
because
makes so much sense. It makes so much sense.
I feel like Lestat's been a vampire for a while. Like he's
A
been a
whole long
vampire,
time.
and when I feel like, well, this goes into because this kind of goes into the Vampire Diaries or to what they said in the Vampire Diaries, like how you are as a human when you turn
Mm-hmm.
into a vampire, it
Mm-hmm.
amplifies by like 100. So when Lestat turns Claudia, who was 14, this 14-year-old girl, she becomes impulsive. She pretty much becomes their version of what we call a ripper, like bodies on top of bodies.
Wait. I'm sorry, because I just checked the chat and it was like Sandman is cancer. You it's fake, right? I'm just
It's from discussing films. It's not from the. I don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about that later because I got some thoughts on that. Because
I'm sorry.
if that is true, I am very, very,
Upset.
very upset.
I ain't mean to. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
no, you good. But we gonna talk about that. Best believe we're gonna talk about that. But yeah, so Claudia, she's 14. She just got turned into a vampire. She's impulsive. She uh,
What producer? What you want, man?
right. We'll talk
Come
after.
on in.
We'll talk
Like we
after.
gonna talk about it after. We're not gonna say nothing now. We gonna say something later.
And Claudia is very, she's young, so she feels trapped because
Right.
she's this as she grows older, she becomes more resentful because she's a kid.
Right.
She's in this kid's body, but her mentality is growing. and she wants to, feel love. Like she wants to, have like she told Louis and Lestat, like I want my Lestat or I want my Louis, and that's all she wants, a connection with someone,
Right.
and it's just.
Oh
I
God.
kind of felt for her because, like, Louis was trying to help her, like, in
Right.
like, called him daddy, like that, like that's, like the man who pretty much raised her. So she has this type of connection with Louis, which is why Louis feels protective over her, and which why in vice versa, like in episode 6, why she feels protective of Louis, because that relationship is reciprocated, and Lestat like pretty much treats her like redhead stepchild, like just like he treats her like he tells Louis like she's your problem, like you fix it, like in Lestat.
It's just like I think he did it. We know why he did it. We know why he did it. He did it because he loves Louis, and he was like, if I give him this child, maybe he might really just tune in and focus on who I am as Lestat, the baddest vampire. No, the creme de la creme, the je ne sais quoi of vampirism.
Je ne sais
You
quoi,
know,
je ne sais quoi.
but it, what really happens is that Claudia is very more drawn to to Louis.
Mm,
They have their moments where they are, I mean, don't get me wrong, even the first episode with her actually being a vampire, they had to teach her to, you know you have to respect, your kills and everything. But what sets the tone is the difference of how Louis is as a parent or teaching her, and Lestat is as a parent teaching her, because Lestat was ready to teach her how to be a bloodthirsting vampire versus
mhm,
Louis, who was already practicing how not to kill, and he was already eating other types of things and animals to quench his thirst. Lestat wasn't doing that, and like Lestat told him when he
no.
first ate that rat, you want to eat from the scum of the gutter, you want to eat this trash, and you just have all this out here. And what I love about present Louis is that the person that he's drinking blood from now, he said he tastes like honey and pineapples. So it's
Yep.
the fact that he's he he's learned from that to have somebody, actually have their food intake in their diet.
Prepped. He had him
Season.
seasoned. Like he pretty much he seasoned.
Okay, he seasoned that blood right on up, like, and got it to his tasting. But to see their two different, teaching styles and their parenting style is just crazy, because Claudia's young. She's gonna do what makes her feel good with the vampire, with her being a vampire now. The first couple of words she was kept saying was, I'm hungry. I'm
Mhm.
hungry. And, Lestat was like, you gotta let her kill. You gotta let her feed,
Mhm.
But what I like about each person's perspectives in this show is that they're going through different trials of them being vampires. And I think that's what makes the show very complex. And I think that's what makes it very entertaining.
Mhm. And also when because I, after, because Claudia, like I said, she wanted love, she wanted to find that relationship, because like they kept her secluded for 5 years,
Right.
and she finally found a guy named Charles that
Oh
she really liked.
God.
When they were starting to make out, starting to kiss, and she killed him. She didn't mean to. She didn't mean to do it, but unfortunately, it happened. And so she was in a very 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 bad headspace, like anybody would be in that situation. She would pretty much play decoy in her room when they thought that she was in their room. In
Hmm.
her room, she was actually out on a bender, on a blood bender. And she said she buried the bodies, like uh
And the fact
like
that
in a place
she did bury the bodies, but
in a
what her mistake was is that the girl was taking souvenirs. Like,
that too.
she was
But
a,
the
it was like she was no shade, she was a serial killer, and she was taking a trophy from each person
thumbs,
that she killed.
breasts, like
Huh?
thumbs, breasts, eye, what
Like,
you name it, she
God, no shade, whole body still in the closet. I
still.
said,
Man, when I tell you
girl.
that scene when the police came to their house and she, they were searching the house and she's pretty much in her room trying to hide all the souvenirs in
Right.
her drawers and dresses, and then the dead body's just in her closet,
I
staking
was
up
like,
the
girl, you
place.
can't
Like,
hide. Ain't no point. But it was cute how she pulled it off. I'm getting
it
dressed,
was.
sir. That whole scene, because I think that's the episode where they read her diary.
Yes,
Because I
and
mean that's
Louis was
how they
like, "Don't do that." It's like, "Don't do
right.
that." It's like, "I don't care. I'm gonna read it anyway."
I'm
And
gonna
it's
read it anyway because I mean, if they wouldn't have read it, they wouldn't have found out about her. I mean, she did go on a massive killing spree, and I mean, like Louis said, I like her. Cause no, not Louis. The journalist said I like her because she's a killer machine. And what I like about that whole episode, this is what I love about the whole series, and this is why I'm excited about this whole universe, is because the storyteller is amazing. Because, like I said, we are in the present and in the past. In the present, you have the interview taking place, and when Daniel reads her diary and he's learning about Claudia, it gives him this insight of what they went through in them years. And
yep.
like he said, I like her because she's a killing machine, because the two were not actually killing, only one was killing, which is Lestat, punk ass, you know, and she was going through this mode where she had to really survive, even though she did it in the wrong terms. I wish she, honestly, it's like, I wish she would have just listened to Lestat at that moment when he did take her out, even though Louis was pissed off about that shit. I think she should have just listened to Lestat, and just they should have just had some type of agreement. When you go hunt, I go with you.
Right.
And just make sure I don't go overboard, because if I'm doing it by myself, I'm going overboard, because that's what happened. She literally is a serial killer. She's killing everything. And when she bury and where she buries the bodies is fucked up, because they was like, well, where did you bury the body? She was like, she was like out there in the river, and they like, do you know what happens when it rains?
Rains, and then all of a
Like,
sudden, in the next scene is it's
it's
raining, and
just
then all these bodies come flooding up
just
to.
bodies, 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 bodies. Another good movie y'all should watch. Like bodies everywhere. Like it was literally bodies everywhere. Mind you, she's keeping these souvenirs for her whatever, perspective of her being a vampire. Um, but child, that episode was a hot ass mess,
Mhm.
because he what and I Lestat is an evil parent and an evil man, but I get what he did is when he down took Charlie's body and was like, you will learn, basically, you will learn what it means to be a vampire. I'm going to take this body and I'm going to burn it, and you're going to watch him burn and watch his face melt off, so that you can know that you can never get close to anybody, or that you
Mhm.
can never love. Which I hate that he did it like that, but it's almost like he is kind of 50% right. There is a 50% that you can be loved, but I feel like that you can only be loved by another vampire,
Mhm.
or somebody who's willing to be turned into a vampire. But the way he made her watch Charlie melt, that was a cringing moment, because I was like, God damn, that is her first love, and you gonna make this child watch her burn her man. But okay, I digress.
Right. And then, after all this, Claudia was like, I'm gone. Like, I'm out of
Mm,
here. So,
mhm.
she leaves for about, what, 5 years? Three,
Yeah,
3 years? 3 years?
about I think it was about 3 to 5. I think, and I honestly, I feel like it was more, because I mean, this is the climax of the actual. I feel like when she leave is the actual. No, it was before. I'm tripping. Um, that was after that whole situation, and she wanted to leave and get away from. She basically was running from what she did,
Hmm.
and it sucks because Lestat doubted her for leaving, because he was like, you won't learn anything. Everybody will be vicious to you if you even find people. But what we do see is her take this journey, and I think it was a good and bad journey at the same time. Spoilers are coming. We are not holding back, because season finale is Sunday. So
Yes.
this journey though.
Oh.
was fucked
can
up.
we also talk? Because I loved it. Because like we see her come from this young, bloodthirsty baby vampire to
Right.
we actually see her like scared when she meets this other vampire, Bruce,
Mhm.
who pretty much at first we think he's a decent dude. No, at first we think he's this okay vampire, and he turns out to be a complete asshole. And then the present day, when Daniel and Louis are talking about the ripped pages from Claudia's diary,
Mhm.
he's like, "Well, where are they? Where are the pages?" And she probably tore them up. And they're talking about, "I wonder what happened." During those pages, and Louis like, I
Mhm.
know what happened. Like it's obvious. Like isn't obvious? You could tell what happened.
Right.
And Louis always said, I'm not going to compromise Claudia's journey. Like I'm not like this is we're focusing on me. We're not focusing on Claudia's drama. What happened to her? That's not what this is. And I'm not exploiting her. And I was like, you see, that's the protectiveness that Louis has always had for her.
Right.
Like even when Lestat was in his ways, he would never let him. He would. Louis would get on to Claudia like any father would, like if a kid messed us
Right.
up. But he would
But he
never like
still
say, "I
had
don't
a
care about you."
mhm.
He would protect her still, and that's when I'm like, okay, and that's why when Claudia does come back, and Lestat again is in his ways, and he pretty much forces Louis to choose between him and Claudia. What does Lestat do? Oh, he gets in the mood. He takes Louis all the way up to the sky, drops him.
Girl, that episode when I say that was the first episode that had really like it made my belly feel like it had my belly toe up. Like I was like I had butterflies because like to watch them from episode 1 until I think that was what episode 6. I think that was episode
Mhm.
6, and to see and then you how you introduce Claudia, and Claudia is going through what she's going through, and it just to see you get Steela Stock get so pissed off because he chose her because even the whole situation that you had put him through, you really like y'all really got into this big fight. Like after you have really
That
been
house fight was dope. That house fight was dope because like all you hear is just them, just like Claudia's like doing the 360, like hearing the noise, but you
hmm
just hear the just like the
the
crashes and in
destruction.
the destruction of the house, and you're like,
Right.
oh, this is cool. Like,
Like, it was
oh,
amazing. Like, it really like I said, feelings, emotions, and everything, like, it was amazing to see and to see him take him all the way the fuck up. And he was like, basically, let's start telling all I wanted to do all I wanted was you to love me how I've loved you, and you can't even really do that. And then the first thing that Louis say is let me go. Child. A fucking hot mess.
and then what does that do? Let him go.
Like I was like, this is too much. Like it literally was way too. Like that was the first episode that I cried because I was just like, okay, y'all doing too much. The writers really, they really took the knife and twisted it in my side and let me bleed and bleed until I bleed out. Shout out to the weekend. Um,
uh,
yeah, like it was a hot mess, but it just, like I said, I feel like that was the climax of the entire series because
so far, yeah.
these two characters have Lestat and Louis have really have two different strong personalities of what they are as vampires and their relationship and what they're going through, and for them to come to this pivotal moment in their lives and just how it ended, it was just like it made you think like, damn, what the fuck else could happen.
hmm And like when Louis was still healing, from the accident, because Louis fell like through the house,
Like
like
through
he
the
didn't
house
land
on
in
the
water.
ground, broke
Like he
up.
landed like in the house. So he was
Like
he explained his injuries to Daniel. What he said, like a punctured lung, like a broken vertebrae. Like he was
all
in
types
bad.
of
He was
shit.
like blind in one eye for like 2 months. Like it was bad. And Claudia pretty much was there. Pretty much nursing him back to health. Is and it's like, oh, because she was the, she was there looking for him. But Lestat, he was doing his thing. He was with his woman, his other woman, and Claudia. That's what I think what Claudia was so mad about. Like, it's like, so you mean to tell me that you love my dad, but yet you're over here with this other woman when you should be here taking care of him?
Right, like, it was very, but it's the manipulation that comes into that episode, which is the last episode, is that, it's the fucking manipulation for me with Lestat, because it's like you're trying to woo him and say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," and I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt you. You know that I love you. I bought you this Rolls Royce. Do you want to drive this car? And like Claudia said, we don't need you. We don't need you. You ain't been
Right,
here. You ain't been here for
right,
him after you dropped him in the sky, let him just fall into oblivion. Like, you ain't been
right,
here. So you think you saying what you say is gonna help him? No, I'm gonna help him. We gonna keep on doing what we've been doing for the last 3 years without you. You wanted to
right,
run off because you did what you did, and we gonna stay here and put these pieces together. And also, we're not gonna
right,
clean up this house so you can remember how you felt. Okay? You remember this
right,
damage that you did?
right,
You gonna see this every day you come into this house if you back in this house.
right. And like they're like, okay, if you're coming back in this house, we're gonna have some rules.
Ooh, the
But
rules
we
were everything. I love the rules. The rules was everything.
the first one, the first words that came out of Claudia's mouth was, "You got to kill Antoinette," who was the other woman
Child
that had
killer.
a breakdown. She was like,
It's the
"You got to kill
fact that
Antoinette."
you sent Louis a fucking damn song that she recorded of your other lover singing, and you talking about Louis. Are you fucking, like, you got to be like, come on, let's start. Like I said, the manipulation is fucking
Mm-hmm.
old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Hot mess.
Ooh, I'm ready for these next two episodes. Ooh.
Girl, we only got one more.
Oh, I haven't seen seven yet. I haven't watched it on the app yet. The seven's on the app, right?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the app.
Mhm.
I don't have the
No,
app.
7 is not on the app. 7 comes out Sunday. It ain't out yet.
Oh yeah, I've seen one
So,
through six.
oh yeah, we good then. Like, it's just like, and then the fact that they're naming these rules and he's telling his story about how, because Claudia said, "I want to know how did you become a vampire? Who turned you?" And he tells us his story of you know, who turned him and everything like that. And for instance, you do feel bad for him because Lestat was locked up in a dungeon or alley or whatever this person Magnus had put him in, and it had other corpses and other bodies that this other vampire had killed, and the vampire Magnus was just feeding off of Lestat, and feeding off of him and feeding off of him and feeding off of him until he turned him, and then Lestat says that Magnus just walked into a fire and killed himself and left him with all this money and all this good stuff. Um, so I want to put a pin real quick because I want to talk about perspectives in the actual book series, because the first book is Interview with a Vampire and it's Louis' perspective. The
Mhm.
second book is this perspective of Lestat, and then the third book is Queen of the Down. And we're not gonna get into that yet. We'll save that. But I really, 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 really think they're gonna. I really think in season two they're gonna like shake us up a little bit, because I
Mhm.
feel like if the actual books are from point of views until they start actually crossing over and stuff like that, um, it would be kind of interesting that, especially with this being an interview with a vampire, we've only seen it from Louis' perspective. It would be kind of crazy that they shake the table on season two and it's from Lestat's perspective,
Mhm.
because I think we would actually see a little bit more from his backstory and if what he said in that last episode was true or not. Because I'm just sorry, I don't think this man would just walk into the fight and just give you all his money.
Right.
I just don't believe that.
Yeah. I think something happened. Something definitely happened.
I think Lestat killed him because I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
Lestat. I feel like he finally figured out, his power as a vampire and what he could do, and I feel like he came up with the plan, just like Claudia has came up with the plan. He had to study and everything like that to see how he could take his enemy down. All right, back to the track. The fact that, did you see the chess game with him and Claudia?
Well, I saw the part where she pretty much was trying to get inside his head. Like, so who's Nikki?
Right.
It was
That
like she was trying to get inside his head. That's just it.
right. She literally was telling Louis, she was like, "We're going to kill Lestat, and I know how we're going to kill him. We're going to basically play the Lestat game, basically." And what I like about that last scene is that you can see Claudia come into her own as an adult and as an older vampire and as a mature vampire because of what she's been through. She tried to escape and she wasn't able to escape because Louis, you know, trapped her ass and went and got her. And basically she's telling Louis that, we are slaves to Lestat, but I will free us. And it makes perfect sense because if Lestat has been in this circumstance of always manipulating those around him and keeping them close to him for his manipulation and his wants and his needs, then yeah, you all are slaves to him because he can just do whatever he wants and you're gonna do it.
Mhm,
But what I liked about that is that we do get to see Claudia outsmart him in a game of chess, but it is a lumen effect to whatever is gonna happen on this season finale.
mhm,
It's real good
mhm.
because
Oh
she
yeah.
trapped his ass. She said, "You know what? You
Uh,
can't move." She said, "Check, check."
uh,
And the fact that he did not kill Antoinette pisses me the fuck off.
uh,
Cause that literally just means that he has not learned anything from them having this three-way conversation about the rules and situation. You open up to them, you have literally learned nothing.
right, because I remember Louis, because Claudia's upset that like there are all these rules, and Claudia's like, it's nothing but compromise. Like,
Right,
and then, Louis like, we're all doing our part. What are you doing? She's like, I'm enduring. Like,
right,
I'm living through this shit every day. Like, you and they're like, what do I have? Like, you and Louis get, yeah, you and Lestat get to compromise, and y'all get something out of it. But what do I get? Like, what do I get out of this? Nothing. Like, I'm getting nothing out of it. And I feel like that's when she comes to her own. Like, she pulled the Denzel. Like, I'm leaving here with something. I'm leaving here with something.
right. As she should.
Mhm.
It just ain't no if, ands, buts about it.
Period.
But I think everybody should actually catch up on this show this week before the season finale, or actually catch up before Mayfair Witches comes out in January, because that will be the second series of the Immortal Universe, and the Mayfair Witches do cross over with them in the Vampire Chronicles books, and I'm like super excited. I'm very excited to see if they actually do adapt Queen of the Dam into some type of story part, or character arc in this series. But so far, I feel like AMC is in their bag. They have really harnessed the storytelling of this. They have really gave us some plot twists and emotions to this whole entire series in season one, and I'm super excited about the finale, but also more intrigued how they would continue the story in season two.
Hmm. Absolutely. Like, I'm here for it. I mean, the one thing that I thought was interesting is how, when it was like episode 4, which is pretty much like Claudia's episode, like she actually
Hmm.
narrated that episode. Like, it was
Yes,
through
that was
her perspective.
really good. I think that's why I really think they're gonna really. I hope that they will key in on perspectives of each different character, just
Hmm.
because of where they've been going. Because
Hmm.
they didn't have to give us Claudia's voice, but they gave us Claudia's voice for a whole episode of her narrating it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
and I'm Team Louis.
Period. Team Louis, all the
Team
way.
Louis all the way.
Man, Lestat can go. Lestat can go.
Like he can literally go. Like after these last two episodes, I'm done with him. He can kiss my ass. I'll see you next year in season two. Maybe, maybe maybe you would change your ways, but I don't think you will. But I will say I just love reading fans who are fans of the book, who have read the book, and those who are new to the show. I just love seeing everybody's. I'm a reaction person. I love seeing people's reactions and how they take these different series and movies, and that's just one of my biggest things about consuming the entertainment that I personally consume is just seeing how everybody perceives it. I'm a big point of view person. I'm a big, like I said, reactions. I like to know, well, how did that make you feel? How
Right.
do you feel? Even if you didn't read the books, just like those who have read the Game of Thrones books didn't like certain situations that happened in House of Dragons, but I'm like, do you want to see the story be continued just because it didn't go your way that it had in the book, or are you just gonna, stop watching?
Right.
But that's one thing that I've always been intrigued by is different people's perspectives of how these movies and TV series, come to life.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. And
interview is definitely getting interview is definitely getting my vote at the best of 2022. I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you,
like
like,
it's amazing. Like the acting is
what?
fantastic. Like
Yes.
even like just the practical, just the small special effects of like just the vampire, you know, uh effects and everything. Like it's brilliant.
Remember I sent y'all that gif of that Louis just they was a behind the scenes and he had his teeth in.
Yeah.
Ah! He had his teeth in. Those not CGI teeth, bitches. Bitches, those are not CGI teeth. Those are real teeth. He's a real vampire. Okay, baby. But no, like they really, I feel like AMC have really and I think they have learned, and it's just no shade. And I've only seen a couple of episodes of The Walking Dead. I
Mhm,
haven't really immersed myself into it, but I feel like AMC has really honestly got another gold mine that they can actually do the same thing they did with The Walking Dead, but with the Immortal
mhm,
universe. I mean, you already
mhm,
have season two greenlit. You already have Mayfair Witches coming. You have the books are like it's like 9 or 8 books, so they really can give us a lot of storytelling with these characters. And like I said, we haven't had a good vampire show in a minute.
since the
So
originals. Since the
I will
originals.
say, and I was trying to say the originals because before the originals it was True Blood. So you know, we ain't really had no vampire consumption. So I really am glad that they have given us this story and brought it to life so well. So proud of
Mhm,
y'all. Thank
mhm.
you.
Yes, and
That's
it's
all I
smart
got.
putting right, I'm gonna say this last word is like, putting it on AMC was a very
Mhm.
smart move. It was a
Mhm.
very smart move because there's not the only thing close to that on AMC is a Discovery Witches, and we got to talk about that too. We
Girl, the Discovery
got
of
to talk
Witches
about
is a
Witches.
hot ass mess in a good way. When I say a hot ass mess, it's either a negative way or a bad way or a good way or a positive way. It is not. When I say a hot mess, it just depends because child, like
We
to
got to
see
talk about it.
it's just I love that aesthetic of witches. Like I don't know what it is about that, like that in this book and these vampires. I just
Oh, well, no, now they actually do have pretty good set of vampire. Now, Discovery Witches does have good mythos of vampires. Like their
right,
mythos is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, their mythos of vampires is pretty good. Um, but yeah, like it was really smart putting it on AMC Plus because it's relatively a new streaming app. That's where a lot of
hmm
good stuff that people I won't say people don't really watch, but good stuff that like goes under the rug.
right.
That's really good, like Pantheon, like an animated series, Pantheon, like Ken, like an Irish drama. There's so much stuff on that app that people don't really know about
Right.
that I'm like, yeah, AMC is the perfect AMC Plus is the perfect place for it to go. And it
Yes.
made so much sense. And and it was worth it. Like that was a really smart business decision.
It really was. Like I was when I saw the when even when I saw the first trailer for Interview, I was like, oh, oh, yeah, already look better than the movie, and it's just no shit. Like, and then when you actually get into the story, it's like, ooh, this has the je ne sais quoi that we've been looking for. Like, oh, it's just very complex, story driven. These characters you're gonna get attached to, these different things that happen is gonna like grab you and have you move throughout the whole entire series. And I'm not even being biased when I say this. I know I said it on the first episode because I said the first episode was a 10 out of 10, but I honestly and truly still feel like the show is still about a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Like I don't me personally, I don't see it going below a 8.5, and I'll just keep it like that. But it really has a great way of portraying these characters and really telling a story with it. Like I have not seen nothing like this yet. Like, and it's just no shade, but they really have harnessed storytelling with these characters.
Mhm. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'm ready for these last two episodes.
Hot mess.
Woo!
Can't wait. Y'all gonna love it. So catch up, people who are watching, catch up. You can watch it on the AMC Plus app, or you can catch up if you have cable or demand, or if you got a Fire Stick, whatever you choose, But catch up because it's a really great show, and I want everybody to be able to be caught up by season 2 so we can get some good viewership because it's
Oh,
really been going good.
oh,
But yeah, that's all I got. Um,
same
this
here.
dog is in my lap.
Oh, nephew, nephew.
Yeah, he done fell asleep.
The
But no, catch up. Catch up, catch up. Also, What's the T will be covering more things. We are covering what did we say was next? We just said something was next. We said it before we was gonna start it.
the
Actually,
bastard son and the devil
uh
himself. But we're gonna talk
yes.
about that.
The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself is on Netflix. Started streaming last Friday. Check it out. It is right up the alley for us supernatural people. But yeah, I'm ready to talk about that because I love it.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that'll best will be the next thing we talk about. But no, you know who we are, and we are what out of here. Ain't that right, Avia?
Yep.
Peace out, good
Bye.
people.